today, and I am sharing my latest creation for Scrapping Clearly. Today I am working with the June, which I cannot believe we're in June, the June sketch, which is really fun. I was undecided as to what photo I wanted to use, so I got my husband's help, and I'm going to scrapbook this one. This is my youngest son, I think February 2 years ago. He just laid down in the sand and started doing sand angels. We don't get snow here, and I don't know where he got the idea from, but sand angels it is. As you can see, I've had a bit of a play with the title. I'm going to be using this this paper for my background. It's the Free Spirit by Coco Vanilla in the... No, sorry, it's Word Jumble in the Free Spirit range by Coco Vanilla. I'm going to be using these Heidi Spot acetate alphas for my title, and I'm going to stitch this word for the title. But before I do any of that, I know that I want to do some mixed media in the background, so I'm going to add some gesso and then poke my holes. I will start the stitching and then probably go and finish the stitching while I'm watching TV or something. So I'm going to pop you on fast forward and get started with the gesso, dry that off. I will show me poking some of the holes and start the stitching, and then I'll come back and it will all be magically done. So I hope you enjoy, and I will speak to you in a minute. So I'm back, and I have just grabbed some heavy white gesso, and I'm just using my palette knife to get some out of the tub, and then I'm going to use my fingers to spread it around so that it fades out the edges. There's no harsh lines. I have sped this up quite a number of times because I'm sure you've all seen it before, getting messy, spreading some gesso around. I love this gesso. If you haven't tried it, you should definitely pick some up. Gave it a quick dry with my heat gun, though I didn't really need it because it was such a thin coat. So, as I mentioned before, my title is going to be Sand Angels. I'm just using some washi tape that's not very sticky. I've stuck it to my jacket and pulled it off again. I've stuck that onto the four edges just to keep my word in place. I'm going to zoom in a bit here, and I'm just going to poke around all of those letters so that I've got somewhere to stitch. Again, I think I only show you a little bit of this because you don't really need to watch because it's not that exciting. And peeling it up. Now, my biggest tip if you aren't doing hand stitching is hang on to that template. Sorry for the fuzziness, those stripes kind of throw the camera into chaos. But hang on to the template. I realized as I started stitching that I had missed a few spots. I think the loop in the G, I forgot the loopy bit. So I'm just doing a really simple back stitch. Because the camera was going all blurry and stuff with those lines, I only show you a couple of quick stitches because it's not very nice viewing. I think the camera was finding it hard to focus with those lines. So I super sped up a few stitches for you, and here we are. It's all done. It took me about 2.5 episodes of a TV show, and I love how it came out. I've just used some blue, it's like an ombre blue embroidery floss from my stash. So I decided I wanted to play with my new Distress Oxides inks. They're really fun, and I love that you can layer the colors and it doesn't like re-blend everything out. You get almost a totally different color when you activate it with water. So I'm just smushing the ink pad onto my packaging, adding a bit of water, and then I'm thoroughly drying with my heat tool in between. So I'm going in now with a second coat, and I really love the way that looks. Trimming down my photo, and I decided I'd give this a go, and I just applied the ink pad directly to my paper, squirted a bit of water and mushed it up with my packaging. I decided I wanted some different shading in the blue, so I grabbed, so that palette there is my dried up Shimmer Dust by Colour Blast, and I just leave them to air dry and then reactivate by adding water, and I'm just using the navy colour, and I've just again done this smushing technique, and then I've used my big paintbrush and done some splatters, and I decided at the last minute I was going to colour that word angels. I just felt that the white was too white.
I wanted some splatters of the Faded Jeans Distress ink as well, so I've just mushed that onto my craft mat, added a bit of water, and used my paintbrush. Wanted to add some more texture, so again I've grabbed the same colour in the Distress Oxide and this awesome stamp by Darkroom Door. I've inked it up and then I've given it a quick spritz of water just to activate that oxide, and I love the colours that it brings up. You can see in the close-ups how well it layers on top of the other products, and I really, really love it. At this point, I decided I wanted to bring in a bit of a different colour because I'm using those teal coloured alphas. I grabbed this Heidi Swap stamp, and I'm pulling off that one-of-a-kind stamp first. I love that you can stamp, well, that you can apply colours on top of each other that you would normally get funny colours, or they will blend together and give you like a more greeny blue. But this has definitely stayed the green. This is the Cracked Pistachio, and I'm just using a couple of the other stamps from this stamp set and just applying a little bit of that colour around the page because I really wanted it to the two parts of the page to kind of tie together. So if you haven't worked out already, this is a bit of a lots of different manufacturers and collections page. I just pulled out some of what I had left over and I really liked the dark blue, so I ran with that. In the sketch there's a circular element. I thought about doing some stitching, but I didn't want to take away from the stitching I'd already done. So I just grabbed a lead pencil and did some really quick hand-drawn circles. I'm really happy with how that turned out. I'm just checking how I want to mount this page because I've decided I want that darker blue border around the page, and I've pulled out this, that particular paper is from the Shamel Lane Starshine 12x12 paper pad. I really like the contrast of that dark blue. It goes perfectly with the darkest blue in the thread and the dark navy stripe in that background paper. So I've gutted that paper because I knew I wanted to use some of it as a layer behind my photo, and I'm just laying things out, deciding how I want them. I'm using that paper by Cocoa Vanilla Studio from the Free Spirit range, and it's white with the blue polka dots, and I couldn't decide which way I wanted my papers. I ended up going with the blue and then the white. Muck around with my layers a bit. When I get them to a place where I'm happy, I will grab my tiny attacher and staple them together. There we go. And I really like how it's a fun, silly little layout of my youngest. So I like the messy, slightly askew layers behind there. What I've grabbed there is these beautiful acrylic clouds, also from the Shamel Starshine collection. And I've pulled out my, because there's a lot of the navy blue in the Shamel collection, I pulled out my ephemera pack as well, and I'm just pulling out a few bits and pieces to layer here. I really like that pop of green, but I didn't feel that the piece worked all that well. So that's the leftovers from another project. I think it says Follow Your Dreams, and I think that other one says Above All Else. I can't remember, but you'll be able to see it in the close-ups. So I'm just pulling out a few bits and pieces for layers here. I've got I bought the roller stamp that came with this collection, and with the roller stamp came a little paper pad note thing, and I thought that those stripes on the edges were perfect, so I just used a couple of sheets behind my layers just to bring that minty colour up. I attached that piece with my tiny attacher and realised that it is too far up, so I cut out me trying to get the staples out. Now I'm just attaching my photo with some foam tape. I really like how this cluster came together. I did try to get that to stick without using a staple and just gave up in the end because I knew I was going to staple the sand word with my tiny attacher as well, so I just stapled that on there. little bit of foam behind that piece so it's all on the same level, and just attaching that so I can move that piece all around as one piece. So I'm going to attach my page to the background, and it went remarkably well. I'm rather impressed with myself. There we go. It's straight, it's fairly even. I'm, like I said, really impressed. So I decided at this point I'm going to attach the rest of my title, and I've sped you through that. I'm going to add some wet glue because of all that mixed media in the background, and stick down my cluster. And I don't know if you can tell, but I've positioned it so you can still read that stamping that says one of a kind on the right hand side there. It's not really obvious on the video, and it's not super obvious in real life either, but I really like the extra touch that it gives. Just making sure that's all sticking down. The date stamp. And journaling, yep. So going with my pencil to draw some straight lines, adding my journaling. I'm pretty sure I've super sped that up as well. A couple more lines. And then continue my journaling over there so it ties into the title. Do my underlining. And I decided I was going to be brave and add some black mist. This is Road Base by Colour Blast, and it is a flat colour. I didn't want any on my photograph or on my stitching, so I've just covered those up. I did learn that lesson the hard way, but I'm just doing a few black sprinkles, and that will be my page just about completed, I think. I think that's it actually, now I've said that. Just cleaning the ink off those clouds, a close-up on the video. I really like how this page came out. You still got almost a whole month to get your entries in for both this and the mood board challenge. Here's a close-up of the whole page. I am really super happy with how it came out. If you own the Distress Oxides, pull them out and have a play. If you don't own them, get over to the shop and buy some because they are amazing. This sketch was super fun to play with. I had a lot of fun. I will link the Scrapping Clearly blog and everything in the description box below, and myself. This video will come to you the day that I'm flying to Brisbane for the expo, so I will see you on the flip side and hopefully have some very fun stories to tell. Have a great scrappy day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!